Alright, it's time for a Diamond Zack game. And this is quite a surprise, actually. Zack has only ever had 2 team battles. And they've only been since he was since he was released. So it's been a long time since there's been another team battle. This is actually the first ranked Zack game I have uploaded, so this is, one for many. I believe my masteries were somewhere around 426-0 cooldown reduction on the offense tree and the rest in the defense tree. Something mixed like that. I don't quite remember. Masteries, though, I believe were Magic Pen Red, Armor Yellow, Magic Resistance Blue, and Movement Speed Quince. At least that's what I remember. I'm not quite sure. By the way, First Blood already at bottom. Here, I go off to gank top lane. I use Eon KO and she reacts perfectly and escapes. So the gank was still a success because it didn't cost me much and it burned her summoner spells, and thus Riven was able then to dunk her right after and kill her anyways. I got no assist, I believe. Yeah, he still got this. Yay. So I got the assist and, it still worked out. I burned a flash. Now, I go down mid to see if I can kill the Wukong as well, since he's very low. However, I'm trying to get a little angle. Turns out Olaf had the same idea of ganking mid. They chase after her, and I'm still in the area enough to go in and pick up a kill. So we kill Wukong and dominate mid lane here. Now, I'll just tell you this, a little, spoiler warning. The beginning of the game, here's another gank. Jump in on KO, boom, slapper, whatever. We go for the turret dive. I have my passive. I don't mind dying here. It's very risky. I take her down, and I manage to flash out the last turret before it kills me, and then Olaf finds me and finishes me off. So, it didn't work out as well as I had hoped for, but we still got a kill, and Riven's dominating. And you will see Riven snowball the rest of the game. Now, as I was saying, this is quite the spoiler here. This game, at the very beginning, my team will be stomping hard. We will gain a massive lead. But as you can see by the length of the game, this game is gonna take a long ass while. And right now I'll go into the strengths of Zack in team fights and how he stands out in season 4, because this is a question a lot of players have been giving me. How about Zack? Well, here first off we dive down bottom and we catch Ezreal with Thresh's Q. But we dive a little too hard, mostly Lucian, and he loses his life. So the gank doesn't turn out as well as I had hoped, and it ends up being, terrible for us. Olaf and Wukong are invading, so they go right after me. Morgana catches herself on Olaf, and I re-engage into the fight. They almost kill me, but we're stalling them long enough for Thresh and Lucian to catch the Wukong and finish him off. He's going to survive just a little bit longer, but he essentially has no chance in hell of surviving. Plus, he gave us 25 of extra gold with his clone. Anyhow, right now, Zack, he's in an interesting spot. Like, when he got nerfed, it really hurt his jungling. It hurt his jungling more than it hurt his top laning. He still has CC, he's still a great initiator, and he's still kind of a great jelly jiggler and all that good stuff. However, he's just not as dominating as he used to be. He has a heavy reliance on his team, much like Nautilus does. But unlike Amumu, because Amumu doesn't really need his team to murder the hell out of people. So yeah, Zack is like a weaker Amumu Nautilus sort of thing right now. He did get better season 4, mostly because the camps and the new he's able to get more gold in the jungle, and he's able to, his mobility in the jungle is great if he uses his E just to farm and doesn't have to hold it up and doesn't hold it for ganking or anything. Plus, his ganking is very mobile too. Jump in with your E, slap him a bit, doesn't work. Well, go back to the farm and jump back in or whatever. His mobility when it comes to ganking is just great. Here, like, perfect example here, I showed up just in time to knock the KO off into oblivion and kill her, and we give chase to the Olaf. Now I just gotta say this, the Olaf turns around, laughs at me, ha 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 ha, Morgana catches him, and shit just breaks down right here. I have no way of killing Olaf myself. This is what I meant by, me having to rely on my teammates. Zack doesn't do enough early on without his teammates' help, and even later on, he's kind of struggles on finishing people off, so Wukong shows up too, and he shows up to die, though. He picks up the Riven kill, but he's, still dropped. So as I was saying, Zack, I can't do the damages without my teammates. I set up things for them, annoy the hell out of people, and I'm generally almost unkillable in fights, but I can't do the damages without the others. It's not as the same as it was in Season 3. So, Zach, he is one of the best initiators out there, mostly because of his range and his speed, and just when he gets cooldown reductions, he's crazy. And like I said, right now we are dominating, and this Riven is just shitting on people. She's ridiculously strong, she's fed, and she's powerful. But as you can see, there's still 13 minutes almost, 12 and a half minutes left to go. So as much as we are dominating right now, and as big as Riven is getting, the game is not over. This is one thing that a lot of players seem to just forget or not realize. All our kills, 7 of our kills are located on the Riven. Our Lucian doesn't have a lot of kills. He's pretty behind. The kill disparity in my team does not favor us as well as you would hope. Morgana isn't as strong late game as she is mid game or early game. So, and she's got the second one with the most kills. What this ends up telling you is that all our power is essentially located onto the Riven, while they have, some power evenly distributed across them, and their late game is a lot stronger than ours. With Wukong's initiation, Kael's just raw out power, and Olaf's unstoppable, force or whatever. Not to be mistaken with Malphite's ultimate. So, Riven still gets kills. She can still slaughter the hell out of people. She just slaughtered 2 people. However, when it comes to fights, she can be CC'd and destroyed. She has nothing in the line of defenses. And here we just heard dive Wukong. So, if the enemy team can hold out until team fights, then they have a chance of winning. And they will hold out long enough for the game to turn around in their favor. You will see. It's spoilers, I know. But when it comes down to the team fights, this is where this game is becomes one of the best games I've ever uploaded. It's great. You'll see the team fights and you'll see how good they are. We become fully farmed, or most of us become very farmed and equipped and whatever. My farm isn't as great as I had wanted to, but I spent most of my time roaming and fighting and wobbling around. The Olaf has had lane experience, time to stay in a lane because of Wukong's deaths and top lane's deaths. So he's got a lot more CS than me. It doesn't matter. We're both going to be contributors to our team fighting in some way. Right now, we're just dominating map control, or hoping to dominate map control. First team fight breaks out. However, we initiate it so poorly. We have improper follow-up. And we don't manage to get anything. Thresh dies and Nidalee dies, but that's all that happens. We wasted a bunch of ultimates and a bunch of our resources, and nothing came out of it. That was a poor initiation, if I do say so the least. However, Ezreal gives a lot of chase, and I think he didn't realize that I had my passive off, and he cannot deal enough damage to finish me off. And, thus my team ends up showing up, catching him off guard. Or not off guard, just catching him, out of position and murdering him. So me being caught ended up, being a blessing. It turned around and got him killed, as well as getting Kael killed at top trying to push. However, you'll see that Kael was going to push like a madman. Kael was doing the smart thing and trying to gain an advantage over us or put us in a handicap so we no longer are able to push as hard because, she might destroy some of our things. That's one of the tactics you can use with strong split pushers. If your team cannot win team fights, then you just have to order some of them to stall as long as they can, while you split push somewhere else and try to gain an advantage, a handicap, or whatever. If we lose a tower and super minions are constantly pushing, we're constantly forced to back off. Therefore, blue team would be able to gather themselves, farm a bit more, or whatever. And now here comes another terrible fight for us. We don't know if we're engaging or disengaging, so we do not commit to anything. And it gets Thresh killed. Morgana goes in with an ultimate that doesn't work so well. Even though Wukong is going to die, it also cost my life and cost Morgana's. So it ended up being a 3-for-1 trade. This gives blue team a bigger advantage though. However, they are badly hurt, so Riven and Lucian will use this opportunity to push down mid lane and gets a little bit more farm. So, despite us dying, my team still, turned it around and got something out of it. But as you can see, the gold gap is closing in. Kael here just pretty much decided to die for a second, and instead of just continuously running, she still died because there was an ignite ticking on her, but she probably should have kept running. It cost her ultimate, it cost her life and a flash. Anyhow, Lucian gets picked off here, so it's not like, we're not losing other people in other places. Morgana kills Nidalee too, so that's that's an advantage for us. Again, though, the gold gap is closing in on us. Our farm on the Riven is better, and our farm on the Morgana is better, and it looks like a Lucian as well. So I'm curious as to why they have more gold. I guess it would say is because they've gotten a lot of bounty gold, and they are negative when it comes to kill spreads, but they are still able to put up a fight. If we do not engage this properly, if we don't CC the right targets, we will die. And here, there's no better words to say, but that was a very stupid engage by Thresh. It almost cost him his life, and in fact, it ended up doing so. I engaged too, and it was very silly of me as well, but I was hoping to try to protect Thresh and distract him. It's in a very weird fight. Wukong goes in and gets himself killed. I had my passive, so I survived. I re-engaged right on top of Ezreal, Kayle, and Olaf as Riven joins in the fight and is able to slaughter everybody. However, as you can see, my team is being wiped out as well as theirs. It ends up being a 3-for-4 trade. Riven survives just with a sliver of health, and everybody else got picked off. It was a massive trade-off for everybody else. Morgana gets greedy and wants to take the enemy blue. However, there's nothing Nidalee can do due to the fact that Riven is coming up to stop on her neck. Morgana decides to take a body shot, and that was smart of her in order to take it. They could have been very risky if anybody else had been there too. So we have a resource advantage right now. We don't have as much map control as we'd want, and at least we're getting itemized. I mean, my team is doing dragon. I'm about to show up, and the Ezreal, I kid you not, sort of just eat in there for some reason and died. He was trying to sneak the dragon and got CC locked and killed. This is perhaps one of the worst engages we can do. Riven got caught, or she engaged and got herself caught, and then Thresh and I go in a little too gung-ho and a little greedy ourselves, and we get picked off for no gain. Though, funnily enough, the Nidalee just walks the wrong direction and dies. So there's, at least a trade-off for us there. As you can see, it's still just a 5,000 gold advantage for my team, which is not significant enough in my opinion. Or 5,000. Not significant enough considering it's all located on the Riven. She's got incredible murder power, sure, but the rest of us don't. I mean, Lucian is getting big too, but their Ezreal, is as well. He can kill Lucian if he gets, he gets a positional advantage. As said, here comes another engage. We catch ourselves, again, the Ezreal, who seems to be out of place every single time, and destroy him. With that, we use that chance to, continuously push and harass them or whatever. I'm very tanky at this point, so I can start tanking him a lot more punishment. And it's evolved to, if we catch someone off guard, we can engage on them and blow them up. However, the one that we ended up engaging on is on Olaf, and he's unstoppable. Wukong tries to counter-engage with his ultimate, but he does it very poorly and ends up getting himself killed. He pretty much did nothing. Suffice to say, this tower is ours. And we're also going to be focusing on the inhibitor, and I have to back off because I'm about to die. The rest of my team remains. Riven, I believe, gets her Guardian Angel destroyed. Here, fighting the Kayle. She's just, split pushing, like I said. She took the inhibitor and she took the tower. My team managed to escape with only losing Lucian. And I barely killed the Kayle. Once again, my passive is going to come into play and is going to save me. She had not enough power to destroy me, and with that, I'm able to hop on her with my E and finish her off. So, fortunately, I stopped the split push at top, narrowly kept her from continuously destroying it, and I barely beat her. It was close, but I'm too tanky, and I did have my passive. Now, Zach, come late game, he actually starts dealing a lot more damage, most because of his W. However, if I really wanted to deal damage, I would take some form of magic penetration aside from my runes. The loss of magic penetration in the offensive tree hurts some junglers who relied on just getting magic pen instead of any AP. So, coincidentally, I could have bought Abyssal Scepter and still gotten some of the magic reduction, magic resistance reduction, but I needed more armor because these guys are like an armor heavy kind of dudes. You can, sorry, I have to clear my throat. You can see though that I am building some magic pens so I can deal, damage and stuff, at the very least. Once again, KO tries to split push, but now we just have Riven there trying to stop her. However, this results in us engaging in a team fight where I overcommit and I'm alone and I would have died, so I back off and recoup myself waiting for my E. Once it comes back and once we catch a Nidalee, I hop right back in, but it didn't look like they needed my help because she was already caught by Thresh's Q and Morgana's Q as well. We easily snatch ourselves a dragon. We grow our gold advantage even further. But as you can see, the game is not over. We have an inhibitor exposed at top, and they have an inhibitor exposed in mid. Riven slaughters KO yet again. She gets chased. I go in there to see if I can cut them off, and it seems that Tribush was probably warded. Wukong is top here too, so. Now it's kind of this little Mexican standoff kind of thing. Someone's trying to get the advantage. They're trying to stall for KO's revival. Because in a 4v5, they would likely lose. They need the KO. However, Morgana and I had the idea of just pushing mid. Lucian and Thresh and Riven, they'll be safe, and we can engage in the fight easily enough. Right now, Nidalee is in the wrong place, so now we're able to engage on the enemy team and hopefully wipe somebody out. However, Ezreal blinks out. Olaf is Olaf. He goes right after one of our characters. We wipe out the Nidalee from the face of the earth. Olaf gets kited and killed even with his ultimate. The enemy team engages us. Morgana has her ultimate on a few people, and we just completely start slaughtering them. Riven goes absolutely nuts and cuts them to pieces. With that, you can see that the game is almost over. 47 seconds left into it. I think about that much. This was actually a pretty tense game. We had an advantage early, but then we goofed around and we didn't engage properly. We didn't push our advantage, and as a result, it allowed the enemy team to come back. They had a very good chance of winning. They had a proper team comp, though the Nidalee one was kind of a mixy, iffy thing. Their late game was strong, and they took advantage of a lot of our mistakes. But then they themselves committed several mistakes too. And we were able to capitalize on them and, bring back our advantage. We never fully lost our advantage, of course. And once we got our act together, we pushed back and won. And, yay for teamwork.